Alright, this is Calibos, and we are playing Stoneblock 2. So, I actually remembered where my other metallurgic infuser is, and it is with the immersive engineering stuff. So, whatever. It's fine. Anyway, while we were dinking around, I went ahead, between episodes, I went ahead and I did this so that we have some more crafting storage. I also kind of waited long enough so that we, looking at our processors, we have the 2000 here to do all the things. I made a couple patterns, as you can see, because we're going to be using all of these. On the other hand, what that did is, if we look at Certus quartz, so we had a lot more Certus quartz essence than we currently have. But we aren't going to need to worry about things too much because we now have 2000 pure Certus quartz sitting around. So that's going to make some of our processing a little bit faster on the back end. So that's pretty cool. So the hardest part is getting up to the level, and once you have the level, maintaining it's a lot easier because most of our crafting is not gonna do that. It's not gonna be too difficult. Let's get some food here. Because yeah. So you'll notice that we now have Fluix pearls in here. So I kind of wanted to do a thing, and I'm not sure exactly how we're gonna do this, but I have a little bit of an idea. I haven't worked it out exactly. So if we look at AE2 stuff, so I can make the wireless connector. So wireless receiver, let's just go ahead and do it in here because we're probably going to need more of these. Wireless receiver, we'll make a pattern for that. So we have that. We're probably going to need to set up pattern for the pure Fluix crystals. So let's look at that. Pure Fluix crystals. So in order to do this, let's pull that out and do that. Put this into our chamber here. And then we need Fluix seeds, which are going to be made like that. Oops, gotta change it back. So we can put that into here. Now in order to make the Fluix seed, we need Fluix dust. Fluix dust, which we can make. So now we should be able to go ahead and do this. Also, this has got a lot more. I upgraded this to a factory, the basic factory with the installer, just to like speed this process along. And the installer was pretty simple. So let's look at our acceleration cards. So we're gonna need what, 5 of these? There we go. That's gonna be better. I actually have a specific reason I want 40 in there, so that's a thing. But now, if we look at our AE2 stuff, so we should be able to make one of these. I think we'll actually need 2. Oh, it's I'll have to grab one of these, we'll have to add it to the OK to remove list. Pop this into the system. So 1, 2, all right. So now we're also going to need the wireless setup kit. So we're going to have to teach it how to make a network tool, which is going to illuminated panel. So we're starting to get more and more things in here, and I realize I keep repeating this, but in a lot of things it can be very surprising how much you rely on the basics to do all of the things. So let's see what else we need to make this. Chests, illuminated panels, Certus quartz wrench. So chest. Oh, monkeys, it did the thing. So this is kind of where I have difficulties with AE2, is sometimes it sometimes even if something is technically a what's the word? Technically interchangeable, substitutable, or dictionary. It doesn't work anyway. So we're going to take this wireless connector, and this is going to take a little bit of work actually. So we'll get a piece of dirt, and we're going to put the dirt here. And then we're going to take our wireless connector and place it right there. And we're going to remove the dirt. Okay. So here's kind of my goal. One of the problems with this setup is usually that you don't have access to all of this stuff very easily, because so if I put a dense cable in there, I can only connect it to one of the sides. So I would get 32 channels off of 4 potential locations. Now if I, and that's pretty much the best I can get typically. So I'm kind of hoping, and I've never done this exact plan before. So if we do, so this wireless connector will actually take 32 channels. So it is the equivalent of a dense cable. But like I said, I don't know exactly if this will work. Peer to peer. So I've put in a recipe for this, and I think we're going to want to do this 24. technically that means we need 48, but we'll work with it. So a peer-to-peer tunnel basically takes all of the... We do need that dirt after all. I need like creative flight. Maybe that's the thing that we should do. So it takes... So now I can go ahead and have all 32 channels from each section coming into a single cable. So one of the difficulties that I had before when I was doing this, because I've done this in other packs, is how to get the best use out of this. So there's two ways you could do it. One, these must connect to a regular cable or smart cable. And you could simply have that leading outward into another thing. The problem with that is if it leads outward, you are going to have four cables coming out, and then where do you connect them? So in previous iterations, my solution has been to connect them all to the top and move on with my life. Basically by having them go into a dense cable in the middle. So I want to try something different this time. And we'll do this with the top first. So let's get some smart cable, which we now have the ability to build. Pop that in there. And we're going to take this wireless connector and we're going to go somewhere else with it. It really doesn't matter where. How many 10 channels off of there? So we have 24 channels. So we do need to be cautious about that. There's 10, but I'd like to leave this full for other crafting things. So the bottom is going to be pretty inconvenient. For most things. So let's look at cable anchors, because we do not want this to connect around really to anything. Cable anchors. So if I put that there, and then we tell it that that block is bound to that block, so this should have 32 channels now. Give it a second to see if this works. 4 channels. Let's go up and do the top. Alright, so theoretically, this should now have 24 channels going through it. Honestly, what we could do is we could do this. So if we remove that, and we could no, we're just gonna gamble. Seems fine. So let's put a cable anchor there so that anything that we connect there doesn't doesn't bleed over. But now anywhere we want to, we have 24 extra channels that we could do things with. And each channel is worth 32 more. So, I mean, we could do a little bit of math here. 24, sorry, each channel is worth 32. So, that's 48 times 16, 96 times 8. I mean, that's nearly 800 channels. So, 800 minus 32. So, 766. So that has given us access to 766 channels, which is 766 machines anywhere we want. So another thing that we'd like to do is we'd like to go ahead and take some stone, some of this, and we'll take some of our cable anchors. Oops. Like so. Because we want to do that. Oh, it's facades. Facades. So let's make another 30 or 40. We need one more cable anchor. So cable anchor. Okay, so it does not appear to use it up. That's good to know. Maybe it does use it up. Huh, weird. That would be annoying. It doesn't matter though. So let's make some dense smart cable, because we have recipes in there for that now. So we're going to need 100 wool. Did we not teach it how to make wool? Wool is like so, and we should have 1,000,000 string in the system. So dense cable, we're going to need a lot. Let's make 100. This is one of the things that I like about skyblocks, is depending on how the skyblock is set up, in a lot of cases it really makes you know, even relatively early game, some things are just, you know, more convenient than otherwise. Like typically we would be spending so much wool doing this that unless we had a full-on sheep farm, just building the necessary wiring and infrastructure for our AE system, you know, pushes it so far back that, you know, you don't have, you know, you're doing everything by hand long past the point where you shouldn't be. Alright, so and now we're starting to get them. So our goal here is we want to set up a regular sort of crafting area. So we can get all sorts of our other auto crafting done. Right now, I'd like to get into mechanism because I currently, I'm not going to say I always do, but I currently have a preference for setting up the mechanism factories, because one machine block will give you, you know, all of this extra stuff, and they can be accelerated, and I find it to be very helpful and useful. So our current plan is this. We need to go ahead and drill a hole in the ceiling. So cable anchors. I'd kind of like this one to go off that way and this one to go off that way and stuff. So we'll start here. That will give us the most space, I think. I kind of wish that I had moved my thing over one so that everything lined up with the doorways, but clearly I fail. Alright, so that, we're going to end up going through the wall here. I guess technically we don't have to go through the wall. So what we could do is we could say, what are these called? These are called connectors. Now I'm a little concerned about these because I don't know how useful they are as far as stopping, you know, whether we're going to get lag and stuff through them. So let's go up. So let's do that. Wireless connector. Connect up our cable. And then we're going to link that. Let's get our facades up. That was annoying. So if I do this first, and then I place that, then it merges into the ceiling. So let's do that. Let's do that, because I'd rather it look like it merged into the ceiling, honestly. I think it appeals to me better. So now we need to go up to this side. Take our dirt, and remember it was offset by 1. Honestly, it doesn't have to be. We could put it anywhere we want. So let's actually make use of this. Let's put it in the middle of the room and work out. Here. I think this is the middle of the room. I'm sure it's the middle of the room. Must be the middle of the room, right? So we'll put it up one, we'll link it, and then we'll have our dense cable here. Yeah, honestly, that could save us a lot of wiring hassle. So we'll have to think about how best to make use of this. But from here, we're going to want to go to each side of the room. You know, I guess technically we could have put it in the floor. Heck, we've already done this. Next time we're putting it in the floor though. But I know it's time. From here, we now have 32 channels coming into this room. Plus, anything that we pull off, we can go ahead and put a peer-to-peer tunnel and link it. So once we link it, we can have up to 32 extra channels coming off really anywhere that we need to. So probably what I'll end up doing is off camera, I'm just going to finish wiring up the ceiling and then bringing stuff down. But I hope you liked this episode. I mean, liked. And if you did, just go ahead and leave me a like. We're venturing into some new territory for me. Like I know it appears like I do, but typically I don't use a lot of I don't combine mods very much. How is this? Oh, it's only reinforced 4. Does it need another? Oh, it doesn't have another modifier. I don't use it very often. That's fine. Eventually we'll get it knocked out. But now we have 4 posts coming off of that. We can drop channels off of our peer-to-peer tunnels off of each of them to reduce our number of channels, and we can just fill this entire room with stuff. And that is kind of the plan. But like I said, if you have any suggestions or comments, go ahead and leave those below, and I hope you folks have a great night.